Hey everyone, this is just going to be a quick video. I just wanted to wish everyone a happy New Year's. I'm getting ready to scarf down a whole thing of nachos, but something occurred to me last night while I was reading one of my stories, and it kind of amazed me that no one ever. Some of them do. Don't get me wrong. I have read some that do uh, involve the main characters in some things, but not often. Usually, the character we follow is the one that transmigrates or is reborn into a different world or storybook, game, whatever. Um, Something occurred to me while I was reading it last night. While I was reading last night, I was reading Miss Not So Sidekick. Um, really good story, but open they left a lot of questions unanswered. It was kind of like watching Lost, and you're just kind of like lost. um, so it occurred to me that some in in the story, Saintess Rose wants to be a commoner. She cuts her hair and everything like that, but the story still tries to put the cogs back in place. It tries very hard to set the story straight, to get it to go down this certain path. Um, she has gone. She's is a transmigrated character, I believe, or she had died and gone back in time and was reliving her life. Um, One or the other. Either way, she's our main character. She's the actual heroine of the story, the main female lead, the protagonist. And she wants to deviate from the story because she's tired of living as a saintess. So she cuts her hair, she changes her name and lives as Rose, who is a commoner, a baker. Um, Works part time at a bakery and then lives upstairs in an apartment. It's kind of like this really cool thing, but all the characters, the targets, like the love interests, even her half brother, stepbrother, something like that, um, all tend to come and find her. And this causes a great deal of stress to her. It's like a romance thing. She's trying to deviate from the story, but the story seems to follow her so that it can get back on track. Well, this story that I was reading, we start following Latte. I've been calling her Letty because I don't know why the author of that particular story decided to name everyone after coffee or phrases or gyms, but it's really funny. The only people who seem to have actual names are Rosalie the princess, Arwen, Kenneth, the prince who has a rip-off name of Romeo. I think they call him Rodimio. And then, of course, Abeline, who is the main heroine. Now, I'm calling her Letty still. I'm still going to say that throughout this entire thing, but just know that her actual name is Latte, Latte. I'm saying Letty because it just suits her. Um, so she starts following Abeline around to protect herself. Because she wants the protagonist buff to help protect her. Um, right from the beginning, after we meet Abeline, Ebeline, whatever. The first thing that I noticed of this character was they don't care. Whoever wrote the story did not care about developing her character whatsoever. Um, there was really no reason to, because it was kind of self-explanatory as to this character. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about was the fact that when these transmigrated characters come in and start screwing up the story, um, sometimes they don't actually intentionally mess with the story. They go about their own way, but for some reason it seems like the main targets, the love interests or whatever, tend to drift over to these people. So the thing that got me with this one particularly was that Letty was messing up the story intentionally because she didn't want any of these any of the targets, Kenneth, Arwen, or the Prince, Rodimio, to be with Abeline, mainly because none of them were good. Um, in her opinion, their characters, their settings were shit. Um, I don't know why she said Kenneth was the worst of them. She never gave a real explanation as to what his route would have been. In fact, there's no clear route for any of these characters. But the whole story is getting screwed up. And Arwen, the magician of the tower, who's not affiliated with anything, who can do whatever the fuck he wants because there's no one in the world who can stop him, ends up falling for Letty. Um, and she has a crush on him. They develop this relationship super fucking quick. Okay? Almost that quick. I did not like that. I did not appreciate that at all because Arwen is one of those characters that, ooh, can make your nose bleed. Just throw you up against a wall, pin you to a bed, doesn't fucking matter. He's the guy. And he's got the personality for it too. So this time they actually developed a actual dominating character that didn't have this pushy side to him. Um, he doesn't even let Letty get away with a lot of things. He's just like, just so you know, you get hurt and we're going to have to find a name for our world. And it's an actual fucking threat. um, he could destroy every kingdom, every empire in a split second and not even blink an eye, bat an eye. And no one could do anything to stop him. Uh, so what got me and what I started thinking about the most was here she is she's our main character, and she's, because of her, two fish have left the pond, and now Abeline is only with the prince. Um, Abeline ends up coming to Letty and being like, give me everything back that was supposed to be mine. And she's kind of starting to lose her cool, her sanity. She's losing her shit. Um, she knows she's not supposed to hate Letty. It's wrong to hate her. It's a horrible feeling, but at the same time, it's those are her fish. She wants her fish back. I don't like Abeline. I didn't like her from the start. I thought she was stunningly gorgeous. Um, but the way they styled the dresses onto these characters just makes them kind of I can't say Tim Burton because Tim Burton's fantastic. But kind of gives them like this really messed up figure type deal because of how the dresses are drawn. And sometimes it doesn't even look like they put effort into any of the art, and other times it looks like they put way too much effort into it. So the thing that was getting me was Abilene, the main character of this story, has understandably started losing her cool. She doesn't know why. She does, but she doesn't, you know? And but they kind of just end that there. Abilene is no longer part of the story after that. It's like she just poofs out of fucking existence and all that. Um so because of that, I ended up writing some things down, and I'm going to share that now so that I can get to my food because yum. Um so the story is set, the events are set, and the characters are born, each with their own personality and role. The twists and turns are laid out to help develop the characters or strengthen bonds, which is like the normal thing for every freaking story. As much as I can break down stories after reading them, I suck at writing them because once I get my characters together, it's really difficult to screw it up because the way I develop my characters. Um, but this is what got to me. It was what happens to the main characters after a transmigrated soul starts messing with the story? Why don't they ever keep including the main character? Some I've only read a couple that have actually kept the main character in the story after a transmigrator has destroyed it or a reborn character has destroyed it. Um, you would be surprised at how many transmigration stories out there that they don't finish the story. They don't tell you what happens to the main character after the transmigrator gets their happily ever after. Um, or their otherworlder gets a happily ever after. Um, anyway, uh, the well fills with words and actions, the mystery unravels, and sometimes romance blooms. Once the well is full, the story ends with the simple line, happily ever after. But take a well, a what, a, sorry. My brain's like, wait, how do we read this? How do we read this? How do I read? My brain stuttered. Anyway, but take a well-written story and throw in a curveball of your choosing. What happens to that story? Does it fall apart, or do the characters change? What about your lead character? What happens to them now that their role was thrown a curveball? How long would your character remain sane when the world they knew changes? Or the world that they were expecting changes? Some characters have this kind of weird thing where they're like, I'm the main character, like they know it, and sometimes they try breaking from the cycle but they can't. Other times they expect everything from everybody. They expect the love, they expect the attention, they expect money, all this sort of crap, and it's just you just kind of want to punch them in the face. um Everything that was made for them goes to others, or the protagonist buff no longer applies. Um, Will your lead continue to move or fall apart? Would they blame others because they are underdeveloped? The curveball you tossed in would it change the story or would it go about its own life? Let's say for fun, it does its own your character does its own thing. But for some odd reason, one way or another, the main characters or targets end up drifting towards your curveball. Uh, they could just be cooking, designing dresses, just kind of lazing about. You know, the normal things that transmigrators want to do in a story aside from magic. Um, let's say the main characters of that world drift towards you anyway. You're not expecting it, you weren't wanting it, you were just kind of wanting to do your own thing and exist in that world. And yet somehow these characters find you and keep running into you as if it was destined to be screwed up. Um, for some reason, the lane or the main character starts following it. What then? Let's say your curveball was a villain of sorts and just gets exiled instead of killed, like most stories do with the villains. They kill them. Um, will they find their happy ending there or no? Would your what would your curveball do in that world? Cooking, cleaning, designing, building, matchmaking, writer, director, magic, killing, etc. Or did they bring something with them when they came to this world if they're an otherworlder instead of a time traveler or well not I guess you can't really say time traveler. Um, but that's what got to me is that after these stories, they don't say anything on the main character. Sometimes they'll do like this quick burst of anger from the main character and then poof, they disappear. Um, in this story, the last thing you hear from Abeline, the main character of the actual novel, flips out because Arwen and Kenneth have left the fishbowl. So she starts blaming Letty and saying that she hates Letty. Um, and then, of course, Letty is just like, I don't care. I didn't really have much feelings for her. She basically took all the attention she wanted and never gave any love back. Um, so it was kind of just like a fuck you, bye thing. But that was it. That was the end of Abeline. There was no, this is what happened afterwards, this is what she's going through now, or she's in jail now, or she marries the prince, or what. Nothing. Dead fucking silence after that. What the fuck happened? And take these stories where there are several characters, like the saintess's power is omnipotent. Um, there's two characters there in that story. They don't touch too much on Arya's situation, except for a few chapters to show you how she's kind of regressed from what she was at first, um, and how she's developing and handling the new situation. Their main focus was on the actual Saintess Say, who is getting a lot of attention at this point in time. Uh, and then there's the in another world I'm called the Black Healer. That one is also pretty odd, but some of these stories, they have a certain main character. That main character is meant to go down a certain road, take certain paths, and then has sometimes 3 to 7 different options of men that she can choose. Uh, and depending on the route is usually what the transmigrator will end up screwing with, because some of the routes they die, sometimes all of the routes they die, um, stuff like that. In the story, the villain's ending is only death, or the only ending is death. Our main character, Penelope, is a transmigrator. Uh, and the main character, we never see. All we know is she was lost. The wizard Venter finds her. I don't know why, but whenever I say Venter, I keep hearing a German accent. I don't know why it does that. German, Russian, whatever. Um, because his name sounds like winter, but instead of the W, it's a V. So it's Venter. And it's just, it, for some reason, my brain automatically goes there. And it's just like, why? Um, anyway, our main character is supposed to pop up at some point and is supposed to take her rightful place back into the Escart family. Venter is supposed to find her and bring her back, basically kicking Penelope out of the world. Um, in the route, in the hard route that our transmigrator ends up getting stuck in, Penelope is the main character. You get to see everything from her point of view. Now, I understand why you don't get to see much of the main character at this point, or hear much, or know what's going on with her. But Penelope has messed with this story so freaking much at this point that why haven't they showed what's happening at this? Why haven't they caught us up to date as to what's going on with our main character, the main daughter of this story? Um, there are there's two conflicting things in this story. Um, one of them being that they keep saying that Penelope needs to start acting like part of the family, and then another being that they say that she's a full-fledged member of the family. At times, the way they talk to her, it seems like she's not actually adopted into the family yet. And other times, they keep telling her to act like part of the family, but they don't allow her to. Um, so you've got these conflicting arguments as to what's going on. Um, but yeah, she's messing with the story so freaking much. And I'm just me personally, I'm really hoping she gets with the Crown Prince, because the two of them, oh my god, they just, the other two, Derek and Reynolds, shit. As far as I'm concerned, they are not plausible targets. I don't know why they set them as targets when she's an adopted daughter of this family. So is she legally adopted, or did he just pick her up and decide he was going to adopt her? Like, what the fuck? This is what I want to know, because Reynolds and Derek are acting like this isn't their sister. They're acting like this is a love interest that has moved into the house and is acting like our sister. Um, And of course, they keep pointing fingers at her as if everything is her fault, and it's not. It really pisses me off. I absolutely adore the story. Don't ever knock it. But oh my god. I love this story, but it drives me crazy. Um, and they develop each character. You don't get to see very much of Vinter, but you hear a lot about him. The kind of crap he has to go through and stuff like that. And then, of course, you've got Ekiels, who is the only other character that I like. Um, so you have the two brothers, Derek and Reynold. Ekiels, who is a slave, um, he ends up becoming Penelope's bodyguard or something like that. He was the only one that actually cared for Penelope or felt sorry for her. Then you've got Venter, and then you have the Crown Prince. Um, sorry, I have to take a bite of my food because I'm freaking hungry, and I've got a limited amount of time. I have to go and watch somebody, go and hang out with somebody today. Mm-hmm. So good. Anyway, um, so you got Derek Reynolds, Venter, Equals, Crown Prince. Now, at first, when you start reading this story, your first train of thought is fuck the Crown Prince, fuck Derek, fuck Reynolds. They're useless fucking characters. There's nothing to them. They're jerks, they're assholes, they're killers, whatever. Um, I like the Crown Prince because right from the beginning they've stated that he may come from he may have a very dark past. That instantly gets me because I have somewhat of a dark past myself, but not that damn extreme. uh, he comes from a very dysfunctional background, and it's normal for his way of thinking to kind of shift to what everyone calls crazy, but isn't actually crazy. Um, so I liked him from the get go, mainly because the way they described his character when Penelope saw him was just, whew, beautiful character. Very beautiful character. I don't care about stupid pink hair, black hair, white hair, brown hair. I don't fucking care. The way they did his blonde hair and his red eyes, just his threatening personality, his little smirk. Oh my god, I absolutely adore him. Um, much like Arwen's character, who has white hair, well, silver, um, and has red eyes. If they actually fit the personality with the actions of these characters, it works out so well. And it's just, you kind of wonder why people don't develop crushes on 2D characters more often. But anyway, um, the way this story develops is her trying to get the affection meters up to a certain point so that they're not a threat to kill her. This works for a couple of the characters. Ekiels is the top. Venter Verdandi is one of the second characters that tends to like Penelope a lot. Penelope kind of gives up on Derek and Reynolds for a very good reason. I would have given up on them ages ago. I don't know why she kept trying to give them chances just because of one good thing they did. I think they're shit. They're stupid fucking characters, and when someone changes, if they're really trying to fucking change, don't sit there and berate them for one thing that goes wrong and start blaming it on them. Because at this point, people are now framing them and going to blame them anyway with no fucking proof. At this point in time, she's in jail for attempted assassination of the prince and several nobles. Stupid shit. Like, you know where you you kind of get where this story is going. So the crown prince and Eekils are by far the best characters. I don't like Eekils mainly because he's like a puppy, but instead of just a normal doggy puppy, he is a wolf pup. He has a very, very aggressive side, but he has not shown that. He's shown like maybe snippets to Penelope when she surprises him. Um, there are those little like red flags that kind of go off for you. Um, but with the crown prince, she gets to actually be herself because he doesn't know squat about her. The only thing that is known about Penelope is that she's the crazy bitch of the Escart family, while he's the crazy bastard of the royal family, the imperial family. Um, to me, these two characters are literally just made for each other. She can help him, he can help her. Um, I don't know where the author is planning to take this story. I don't know if it's actually going to develop anything with Venter or if it's going to start switching over to Eekils. I really wanted to stay with the Crown Prince. But anyway, what I want to know is this story is so screwed up at this point. Where the hell is our main character? I forget her name. Yvonne. There we go. Uh, I don't know what's going on with Yvonne. All I know is that she was raised as a commoner and that Venter apparently finds her and is supposed to bring her back to the family. Uh, none of that has happened so far. It seems like all the characters are too concerned with Penelope at this point to even bother with Yvonne, while Penelope kind of has it in the back of her head that at some point Yvonne's going to come back and she's going to have to leave. So the story is getting so messed up at this point. When Yvonne gets there, is she going to have her two brothers the way she would have in normal mode? Uh, does she get killed off and we just never see her again? Uh, do the love interests, the Crown Prince Eekils and uh, Venter, do they end up trying to, do they drift towards her when she shows up and just forget about Penelope? Like what goes on? Does Yvonne get extremely jealous or that the main characters are paying attention to her instead of Yvonne? Like, what the hell's going, like, you know, I want to know what's going on there. They haven't brought that up at all. Okay, anyway, I've had my rant for today. So I'm going to I'm going to go ahead and go. But I hope you guys have a beautiful morning, evening, afternoon, night, whatever time of the day it is for you. And Happy New Year's. I will see you again whenever I get the chance and the opportunity. But do think about it and let me know what you guys think. Okay, bye.